So this time from the DC Club Infinite Earth subscription, or the Signature Collection as they're calling it on the package here, we get Atrocitus for the month of June in 2012. And he comes very tightly packed in the mailer box. As you can see, had a little bit of trouble getting that out, actually. And contained within, you find a smaller box here. Very neat. Of course, you see the DC Signature Collection on there as well, with the name of the character. Got some pretty good side art there. And on the back, you get a little write-up all about Atrocitus. So here's Atrocitus. And looking at the figure, I am very pleased with it. However, there are still some nits to pick about it. I do feel that his arms and upper body and head maybe are just a bit on the small side. I would have liked to have seen him a little bit larger and longer. I think his legs are pretty good. You do get quite, they do make him a little bit taller than the average figure. You can see the Hal Jordan figure compared to him. And I would have liked it maybe just a little bit taller. He's still, it's still okay. But I feel that the character would be just a little bit bigger. I mean, it's very minor difference. So the arms here are pretty much a reuse of the Scalox Red Lantern arms, I think. I do like, he does get new hand sculpts because the character has the little divots on his knuckles, and you can see that they've even painted his black nails, and you can even see the Red Lantern insignia on his ring, which is very neat. His head sculpt is pretty good. I do like the open mouth. Not really one for open mouth sculpts, but it works in this one. Since he is full of rage, he'd probably be screaming. And I do like the yellow in his beady eyes. That's pretty nice. They're very nice, smallly sculpted details in his head sculpt. And that is pretty neat. However, I think it, like I said before, I think it should be just a little bit bigger than it actually is. His neck armor and shoulder pieces here are on a very pliable plastic, and as you can see, it's supposed to be glued down there, but wasn't very solid on either side. So the minute I moved it up, it literally just came right off of the shoulder there, which isn't too much of a problem, but it's just not the way the figure was designed. But I don't mind it too much because it does, kind of aid in the posability of the figure. The paint is pretty much very clean. I like the Red Lantern insignia, very nicely done on the front there. The neck piece is a very shiny plastic, red colored plastic, And they do try and match it with the gauntlets and the boots. It's not quite spot on, but they do get the same kind of red on his belt there. He does come with one accessory, and I think you can guess what that is. Since he is a Red Lantern, he has a red lantern. And again, very nicely sculpted. And you can see on the top there the Red Lantern symbol. So that is pretty cool. And very neatly designed. However, this is one of my pet peeves about action figures. Giving them accessories that he can't hold because he has two fists, not an open hand. Now, since it is a Red Lantern, I don't mind that much because you can just sort of set it off in front of him and it makes a nice display. And, you know, I'm going to go on a little rant here for just a moment. When they did Wave 17 of the DC Universe Classics, I was really not too impressed because, you know, when in focusing on the Blackest Night storyline, they decided to do the deputized people who became sort of temporary lanterns of all the Lantern Corps. So, like, for instance, in the Red Lantern Corps, it was Mara who was the Red Lantern deputy. And I felt, you know, while that's nice, and they did not do a figure. She's the only one that didn't get a figure in line, so she's actually a bad example. But, you know, the Atom was the Indigo Lantern deputy. And so instead of focusing on the actual respective representatives, so to speak, of each of the Lantern Corps, like you would have Hal Jordan for the Green Lantern Corps, Atrocitus for the red, and Laura Flees for the orange, and Indigo 1 for the Indigo Tribe, and so on and so forth. They decided to do those deputy lanterns, and which was kind of, you know, it was a disappointment, but we did get all of them as DC Direct figures. So, doing a little comparison here, we can bring in the DC Direct Atrocitus, and you can see that, you know, he is pretty close. I mean, definitely there's a big size difference. There is a big size difference between the DC Direct figures and the Mattel DC Universe Classics figures. They are a bit bigger, so but one thing that they have on the DC Direct figures is, while, you know, this is a great sculpt and all, they also have the added articulation, and that's what I really like. I mean, you do get some articulation here, and I've done a review on this guy in the past, so if you want to dig through all my DC Direct figures videos, he is somewhere in there. And you can notice slight differences, like the belt on the side here, and how this is raised up. The same with the Red Lantern symbol, and just the paint job on here is very much a shiny kind of a red. And what's nice though is that you do get a little bit better design on the ring there for the Mattel one than the DC Direct one. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that articulation. His head does go up and down, as you can see, left and right, but it is impeded a little bit by the neck piece and shoulder piece here. Arms do go up. As you can see, they hit the shoulder pieces, also impeded a little bit there. And yeah, they will go out and in. They will rotate at the bicep, bend at the elbow, rotate at the wrist. He's got ab crunch, pretty good forward and back. Waist articulation. Legs go forward, back, out to the side, rotate at the thigh, bend at the knee, and bend at the ankles. Now, Atrocitus was first called Atros, and he was one of 5 survivors from the tragic massacre that resulted from the rampaging manhunters. And he and the other 4 survivors called themselves the 5 Inversions, and they swore to get revenge on the Guardians, who had, of course, created the Manhunters. And so they performed this ritual that revealed this prophecy called Blackest Night. And this prophesies the fall of the Green Lantern Corps and of the Guardians. And so they wanted to bring this prophecy to existence. And so they created this Empire of Tears to set out to destroy the Guardians. However, they were defeated by the Green Lantern Corps and imprisoned on the planet Yzmolt in the sector where the Manhunters had gone nuts and basically slaughtered every living being. And that sector being Sector 666, a not insignificant number. The Green Lantern of Sector 2814, Abin Sur, becomes obsessed with this prophecy, and he frees Atrocitus, who leads him to Earth, to track down the origin of this mysterious black force that the prophecy mentions. And Atrocitus escapes, mortally wounding Abin Sur, and he eventually creates a device to track this mysterious black entity or power, and that leads him to William Hand. And at this point, Hal Jordan has taken Abin Sur's ring, and Sinestro has come to team up with him to find the killer of Abin Sur, which is Atrocitus, and they defeat him and take him off to Oa to be imprisoned, or to be imprisoned back on Yzmolt again. And Hand discovers the device and uses it to siphon off power from Green Lantern, becoming the villain known as Black Hand. And Sinestro returns Atrocitus to Yzmolt, and where they have some words where they basically plant the seed of Sinestro's fall from grace as the greatest of all the Green Lantern Corps members. Now, apparently, Atrocitus then kills the other inversions and creates from their blood and essence and the rage that's in them the red power battery and rings to create his answer to the Green Lantern Corps, of course, the Red Lantern Corps. He basically, after the Sinestro Corps War, he launches his campaign to get revenge against the Guardians and kind of shifts the focus to Sinestro and destroying his Sinestro Corps. And then during Blackest Night, he kind of has to team up with all the other Lantern colors to defeat the Black Lantern Corps. And as I mentioned before, there's a time where they select the rings, select deputies, and Mera is selected for the Red Lantern Corps. Then, of course, he has to sort of continue this working relationship with the other Corps members during Brightest Day, and that's where he finds the entities that are the sort of the source and embodiment of the emotional spectrum that powers all the lanterns, and the Red Lantern entity is called the Butcher. He also finds out during that time that Krona was the one responsible for the slaughter of Sector 666, having purposely reprogrammed the Manhunters to do that for his own reasons. Right now, he's kind of restructuring the Red Lantern Corps. He's had some doubts as to what exactly fuels his rage now that was kind of cheated his revenge on the Guardians, because it was really only Krona to blame, and then at the result of Brightest Day, Krona was destroyed, but not by him, so he was cheated on his vengeance from there. So he's kind of restructuring the Corps, and the way the Red Lantern power works is that it's fueled by rage. But more than just like all-consuming rage, it is righteous rage. So each one of the Red Lantern Corps has to have had some sort of real tragedy in their life to define their rage and focus their rage upon. And when a Red Lantern ring gets put onto the finger of a Red Lantern Corps member, what it does is it replaces their blood with the Red Lantern energy. And so if they then take the ring off, the energy through their blood, that's throughout their blood, or has replaced their blood, dies. And so they die as well. And lately he's just gotten, with the new 52, he's gotten his own title. Well, not his own title, but the Red Lanterns have gotten their own title. And Atrocitus has done something where he has to awaken the other Red Lanterns, because once somebody becomes a Red Lantern, they are basically mindless. I believe only Guy Gardner was able to retain some semblance of his old self. And Atrocitus is the only other Red Lantern to retain sort of their composure. The others are just turned into basically mindless wrecking crew, wrecking balls of destruction and hate. And maybe at the most rudimentary sort of memories and awareness. But he's started to wake up other members of the Corps, Bleeze, and I believe one of those ball aliens, Zalius Zed, who makes an appearance on the Green Lantern animated series, I think is one that has become sort of this evolved Red Lantern. And just to mention their appearances, they've been a pretty big part, like I said, of that Green Lantern animated series. They're the main bad guys in Season 1, and I don't know if they're going to be... I don't know if it's going to be returning for Season 2, or exactly when it's going to be returning for Season 2. I think they did renew it. It just will be maybe at least another year until we see new episodes of that. But in that, he's voiced by Jonathan Adams, and he's also plays a part in the backstory of Abin Sur in the Green Lantern Emerald Knights direct-to-video movie. And I think he's voiced in there by what's his name? Terrence Thomas. So that'll be it for the Red Lantern Atrocitus figure from the June figure of 2012 for the DC Club Infinite Earth subscription, or the Signature Collection, they're calling it on the package. And stay tuned for the July figures, which should be coming soon. And until my next video, I'll see you.